Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In today's video, we are going to see another example on cost of fixed assets. In this example, we will see different transactions and we'll see how the cost will be computed and how it will be recorded in the books of accounts. We have also seen in previous videos many examples on cost of fixed assets. The difference between this example and the previous example was that in previous examples we were uh, purchasing fixed assets and then we are accumulating the cost and then recording it in the books of accounts. But in this example we will going to see we are purchasing fixed assets and as well as we are constructing some fixed assets. So we have multiple items of fixed assets, multiple transactions, out of which we will compute the cost and then see how the accounting will be done if we are constructing items of property, plant and equipment. So let's go through the example. इस वीडियो में हम एक एग्जांपल देख रहे हैं कॉस्ट की, फिक्स एसेट्स की कॉस्ट हम देख रहे हैं. हमने प्रीवियस वीडियोस में भी कॉस्ट की कुछ एग्जांपल्स देखी थी और जो प्रीवियस वीडियोस हमने देखी थी उसमें हमने ये किया था कि हम फिक्स एसेट्स के आइटम्स को परचेज कर रहे थे, जबकि इस एग्जांपल में हम फिक्स एसेट्स आइटम्स को परचेज भी कर रहे हैं और हम उसको कंस्ट्रक्ट भी कर रहे हैं. जैसे कि एग्जांपल इसकी हो सकती है कि हम कोई फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्ट कर रहे हैं, उसमें प्रॉपर्टी, प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट जो है, प्लांट एंड मशीनरी हम उसमें इंस्टॉल कर रहे हैं. तो एक पूरी कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्टिविटी चल रही होगी जो कि हम इस एग्जांपल में देखेंगे. नाउ लेट्स स्टार्ट द एग्जांपल. ABC company is engaged in manufacturing and selling of cement in the country. The company was working to expand its production capacity twice of its current size. For that, the company is in the process of constructing a cement manufacturing plant on its newly acquired land in an industrial zone. So the company is engaged in the manufacturing activity. They are manufacturing cement and selling across the country, and company is thinking to expand its production capacity and expanding its production capacity by twice of its current size. Okay, and they have recently acquired a land. Following are the details of cost incurred over the period of time. So we have multiple elements of cost given in this example. Let's go through them one by one. Number one, we have land purchase at a price of rupees 200 million. Real estate taxes. Number two, real estate taxes paid during the purchase of land, rupees 1.5 million. Uh, Number three, brokers commission paid at the rate 1% of purchase price. Purchase price that is given in point number one, it is 200 million. Number four is title transfer fees paid to the Industrial Zone Authority of rupees 1 million. License fees paid to Industrial Zone Authority rupees 3 million. So there are multiple transactions as we are going through it, and it seems that all these transactions are relating to the purchase of land. Uh, so number five is license fees paid to the Industrial Zone Authority rupees 3 million. Number six is survey fees paid for the land rupees 6 million. And number seven is leveling and fencing of land was done at a cost of rupees 5 million. So far we have seen many transactions, and it seems that these are all related to the acquisition of land. So out of these transactions we also need to see we will also find in this example different elements of fixed assets. Means there will be land, there will be building, there will be plant and machinery. So we have to pick from all these transactions and we have to segregate them according to the category, of fixed assets. Okay, so I'm telling you this because like there are multiple transactions, and so far we have covered 7 points. We just read it, we'll discuss it later, but it seems that these points were related to the acquisition of land. Let's go further. Number 8 is construction of cement the construction of cement manufacturing plant started after obtaining the required approvals from the industrial zone at a cost of rupees 6 million. So they acquired some approvals, and for that they paid 6 million rupees. Architecture and consultancy fees. The next is architecture and consultancy fees for the factory incurred rupees 8 million. Okay, they incurred some consultancy fees and they architecture fees for the factory building, for which they paid 8 million rupees. Next is engineering design cost incurred rupees 50 million. Construction material and labor costing rupees 300 million. Insurance cover was obtained during construction process of rupees 2 million. Fine imposed by Industrial Zone Authority for not complying with the construction bylaws, rupees 2 million, for which rectification was done for compliance. Okay. Plant and machinery imported at rupees 500 million, custom duties paid for the import rupees 50 million, sales tax paid 30 million, sea freight and transportation incurred while import of machinery rupees 35 million, insurance in transit of rupees 15 million, installation and assembling cost rupees 200 million. Next is spare parts related to machinery damage during the installation process cost rupees 900,000. Test run cost incurred rupees 10 million, while the test run production sold for rupees 1 million. Okay, so in the end they did the test run, and they produced some samples which are sold in the market as well. After successful test run, the manufacturing plant was capitalized in the books of accounts. And then we see what is the requirement is compute the cost of different categories of fixed assets to be recognized in the books of accounts and make journal entries to record them. Okay, so this is the information, these are the transactions given to us, and from that we will segregate and we will identify the different items of property, plant and equipment, and we will record them in the books of accounts according to their category. सो यहाँ पे हमारे पास बहुत सारी ट्रांजैक्शंस दी हुई हैं, जिसमें हमें ये बताया गया है कि हमें लैंड परचेज करी है, उससे एसोसिएटेड जो ट्रांजैक्शंस थी वो भी बताई गई हैं। फिर हमें बताया गया है कंस्ट्रक्शन, फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग जो है वो कंस्ट्रक्ट की गई है, उससे रिलेटेड ट्रांजैक्शंस हैं। फिर हमें बताया गया है कि प्लांट एंड मशीनरी एक्वायर किया गया है, परचेज किया गया है, उससे रिलेटेड ट्रांजैक्शंस हैं। तो यहाँ पे ये तो पता चल रहा है हमें कि यहाँ पे तीन कैटेगरीज बन सकती हैं फिक्स एसेट्स की। एक हो गया लैंड, एक हो गया फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग, और एक हो गया प्लांट एंड मशीनरी। तो देयर विल बी थ्री कैटेगरीज out of these transactions. From the initial screening, I can see there will be three categories. First will be the land, second will be factory building, and third will be the plant and machinery that will be installed within the factory building. So these three categories will be there, and now we'll see what are the elements that will be included in the cost of land, in the cost of factory building, and in the cost of plant and machinery. And for that we'll go through the definition of the cost. We remember that the definition that we studied earlier: cost of property, plant and equipment uh, will be the cash and cash equivalent paid to acquire or construct an item of property, plant, equipment. And elements of cost, definitely that will be used. We all know that what are the elements of cost that will be included. So we'll use that definition in order to recognize these items of. Now we will see these items in detail. So as we just said that there will be three categories of fixed assets here in this example. First will be the land, second will be the factory building, third will be plant and machinery. So now let's segregate these and bucketize this all these transactions into these three categories. Okay. So first one is land purchased at a price of rupees 200 million. We all know that when we studied the elements of cost, we know that purchase price, any purchase price less discounts or rebates, adding any import duties or non-refundable purchase taxes, plus any directly attributable cost which is necessary to bring the asset to its location and condition for its intended use will be included as the cost of fixed asset or property, plant and equipment. So we'll see what are the transactions that will fulfill this criteria that was given in the definition of cost, and according to that we will include that element into the cost of fixed asset. So we all know that purchase price will be the first element for land. So this 200 million will be included in the cost of land. So first one is land that will be included. Second is real estate taxes paid during the purchase of land of rupees 1.5 million. We are assuming that these real estate taxes will be non-refundable. Normally, whenever you are purchasing a property or any piece of land, any immovable property, you have to pay certain taxes that are called real estate taxes, and that will be non-refundable. So this 1.5 million will be included in the cost of land. Third thing is the broker's commission paid at the rate 1% of the purchase price. Normally, whenever there is a purchase of land, there are some brokers or agents that will facilitate the purchase of land, and they charge a fees which is normally 1% of the purchase price. So this 1% is a directly attributable cost, because without incurring this cost you will not be able to complete this transaction, you will not be able to properly acquire the land. So this will be considered as a directly attributable cost. So this broker's commission will be included in the cost of land. Fourth one is title transfer fees paid to the industrial zone authority of rupees 1 million. So this 1 million is fees paid to the industrial zone authority during the ownership transfer of the land. Whenever you are purchasing the land, you will get it transferred, the ownership will be transferred in your name, so you will pay a fees for that. So this will also be a directly attributable cost, and it will be included in the cost of land. Fifth one is licenses fee paid to Industrial Zone Authority for rupees 3 million. Normally, like in some industrial zones, they give you license that you are eligible to do some manufacturing activity in their industrial zone. For that, there is some fees paid. So this fees will also be included in the cost of land. And next is survey fees. Survey fees is like whenever a piece of land is acquired, there are some surveyors are hired, and they do a survey of the land whether it's feasible for the purpose for which we are acquiring the land. So a survey fees is paid to those professionals who are conducting the surveys. So this 6 million will be a directly attributable cost, will be considered a directly attributable cost for the purpose of this land, and it will be included in the cost of land. Next is we have leveling and fencing of land that was done at a cost of rupees 5 million. Definitely, whenever land is acquired, will do normally companies do the fencing so that it will be safeguarded against any mm, of the dangers. So fencing is done, and so that and leveling of that land is done so that it will be like suitable for the construction activity that will be happening in near future for the factory building. So this leveling and fencing will also be included in the cost of land. So we'll include this 5 million in the cost of land. From the next item, it seems that construction activity has been started on this land. So uh, let's see how the cost of land is computed, and I've make mm, I've made it here. So we discuss all these elements: purchase price, which is 200 million. These are the rupees in million, and these are the items that we just discussed. First one is purchase price, which is 200 million. Then real estate taxes, non-refundable real estate taxes, 1.5 million. Broker commission, which is 1% of the purchase price, uh, 1% of 200 million, which is 2 million. Title transfer cost 1 million. Licenses fee paid 3 million. Survey fees 6 million. Labeling and fencing 5 million. So it gives me a total of 218.5 million. So this is the total cost of land that will be recognized as a fixed asset in the books of accounts. Okay, and I will discuss the journal entries to record them later. Okay, so this is how the cost of land will be computed. Okay, now the next will be uh, I believe the factory building, because the construction and like this material is given and all the related fees, all the related transactions uh, are related to construction of the factory. So let's see how the cost of factory building will be computed. The construction of cement manufacturing plant started after obtaining required approvals from the industrial zone at a cost of rupees 6 million. So in order to start the construction, they have to obtain some approval from the industrial zone to conduct the construction activity on the land which was acquired. So this cost is also a directly attributable cost towards the factory building, because without getting these approvals, construction of the factory building cannot be started. So we'll consider it as a directly attributable cost, and this will be included in the cost of factory building. Okay, so this will be the first item that will be included in the factory building cost. Next is architecture and consultancy fees for factory, rupees 8 million. Okay, they must have hired some architects to build to design the maps, and some consultancy fees is paid to them. They were uh, preparing the architecture of the factory, and they paid rupees 8 million for that. So this will be included in the cost of factory building because it's a directly attributable cost. Engineering design cost incurred rupees 50 million. So whenever they are designing the factory, they hired some engineers, and they made they made some payment to them. Okay, so this will be included in the cost of factory building. So next we have construction materials and labor costing rupees 300 million incurred. Uh, Definitely for whenever we are constructing the factory building, construction materials and the labor will be incurred. So cumulatively they incurred rupees 300 million. So that will be the major cost, and that will be included in the cost of factory building. So we will include this 300 million into the cost of factory building. Next is insurance cover was obtained during the construction process, rupees 2 million. So when we were constructing the factory building, we obtained an insurance cover against any damage or any theft or anything like that, any uh, calamity during the construction process, just to secure the whole process. For that, they obtained an insurance cover for which they paid rupees 2 million as insurance premium. So this will be a directly attributable cost, and it will be included in the cost of factory building. Okay. Next is fine imposed by industrial zone authority for not complying with the construction bylaws, rupees 2 million. They paid a fine for which for non-compliance the rectification was done. Uh, so this item, this fine or a penalty which is imposed by industrial zone authority for not complying with the construction bylaws, they paid rupees 2 million. So this rupees 2 million will not be included in the cost of factory building because this is not a directly attributable cost. They should have complied with the bylaws and they should have avoided this fine or penalty. They will not be able to recognize this 2 million into the cost of factory building because this is not a directly attributable cost. So we will not include this rupees 2 million. So it will not be capitalized, it will be directly expense out. So they will recognize a penalty expense and then they will pay it through the bank. Okay, so this 2 million will not be included. So out of this is the first element, I think in this data that we are considering uh, not a directly attributable cost and it will not be included in the cost of the property, plant and equipment. So let's see the next item. So next is plant and machinery imported at rupees 500 million. So before going into the plant and machinery, let's compute the cost of factory building. I think from this point number 8 till the point number 13 were the transactions that were related to the factory building. So now let's see how the cost of factory building will be computed. Okay, so I've computed here uh, the cost of factory building. First one was construction permit, rupees 6 million. Second was architecture and consultancy fees of rupees 8 million. Engineering design cost rupees 50 million. Construction material and labor 300 million. Insurance cover rupees 2 million. So it gives me a total cost of factory building equals to 366 million rupees. So at this amount, I will recognize factory building as a fixed asset in my books of accounts. Okay. So I have not included this penalty or fine imposed by the Industrial Zone Authority for not complying with the construction laws. Okay. So I have not included that in this 366 million. Okay. So this was the cost of factory building. Now let's see uh, what is remaining. So the next is plant and machinery imported at rupees 500 million. So for the machinery they imported and they incurred rupees 500 million. Okay, so this is the purchase price of the plant and machinery that will be included as a primary item in the cost of the plant and machinery. So this 500 million will become part of the cost of plant and machinery. Second is custom duties paid for the import, and this is the import of plant and machinery. They incurred 50 million as the custom duties. So these custom duties or import duties will be included in the cost of plant and machinery. Sales tax paid at rupees 30 million, and we all know that in some countries we have to pay sales tax at the time of importation, and this is a non-refundable sales tax. So this 30 million will be included in the cost of plant and machinery. Next is sea freight and transportation incurred while import of machinery, rupees 35 million. So they incurred some transportation cost for bringing the plant and machinery into their country. So this is an unavoidable cost, so it will be a directly attributable cost and it will be added into the cost of plant and machinery. So 35 million will be added. Next is insurance in transit, rupees 15 million. So while importation, they took an insurance cover for any damage, against any damage or calamity during the transit. So this rupees 15 million is paid to insurance company as a premium for insurance in transit, and this is also considered as a directly attributable cost and it will be included in the cost of the plant and machinery. Next is installation and assembling cost incurred rupees 200 million. So we all know that any installation and assembly cost will be uh, is a directly attributable cost and it will be necessary to be incurred in order to bring the asset into its present location and condition for its intended use. So according to that definition, this 200 million as installation and assembly cost will be included in the cost of plant and machinery. Next is spare parts related to machinery damage during the installation process, cost rupees 900,000. So there were some parts related to the machinery that was imported, and during the installation process those were damaged, and it cost rupees 900,000. So this is a loss, actually this is a loss during the installation process, and this loss should have been avoided, but some for some reason this loss occurred. So it cannot be called a directly attributable cost. Okay, so this 900,000 will not be included in the cost of plant and machinery. Instead, it will be recorded as a loss, and it will be immediately expensed out. So next is once the installation is complete, they did a test run and incurred rupees 10 million on the test run cost. And while test run, there was some production that was done during the test run, and it was sold for rupees 1 million. We all know that test run cost will be included in the cost of property, plant and equipment, but any production which is done during the test run and any amount yielded out of that production will be deducted from the cost of property, plant and equipment. So this 10 million minus 1 million will be included in the cost of plant and machinery. So this 9 million will be included. Okay, after successful test run, the manufacturing plant was capitalized in the books of account. So now let's see what is the cost of plant and machinery that coming out of these transactions that we just saw. So here it is, all rupees in million. First we have purchase price, then we have custom duties, then we have sales tax, freight and transportation, we have insurance in transit, then we have installation and assembly cost, then we have test run cost, and we deducted test run production that is sold for rupees 1 million. So this is like the total cost of plant and machinery is coming as 839 million rupees. So this 839 is the cost of plant and machinery that will be recognized as a fixed asset. Okay, now let's see the accounting entries, which is the second part of the requirement. We have to recognize all these transactions in the books of accounts. One thing I did in this example just to simplify the whole example is that I'm ignoring the element of time, because these are a lot of transactions, and practically these are happening over a period of time. So I'm just ignoring the time element here just to simplify the example so that accounting will be uh, explained in an easy way. Okay, so I'm ignoring the element of time here. Now let's move to the accounting entries. So whenever we have these type of uh, transactions, okay, we'll do accounting entries. For example, the first one is the acquisition of land. We computed the cost of land, which is 218 million in our example, in the first part of the example. So here is the cost of land, 218.5 million. So this will be recorded as a fixed asset. Land itself is a fixed asset, and we'll debit the land account and we will credit the bank account. We are assuming that all these payments are done from the bank account. So the first entry is the for the acquisition of land and the related payments. Okay, so this is a simple entry. Fixed assets will be debit and bank account will be credit. Now come to the second entry. From the second like I wanted to tell you, the second entry is related to the factory building. Factory building is not like it's not the case that we are in one day we build this factory building. So all these transactions are happening over a period of time. That's why I was saying that I'm ignoring the element of time, because whenever we are having such type of activity like construction is going on, we are having multiple items and we are having multiple transactions that we are recording in one account, which is called process construction in process account, or we can also call it capital work in progress. Okay, so we'll record all these transactions one by one into one account. Okay, so all this factory building, all these transactions will be recorded, will be debited in one account which is called construction in progress. Okay, and similarly for the plant and machinery, all these amounts or transactions will be recorded in the construction in progress account. And uh, first, this account construction in progress will be debited, and I'm assuming all these transactions are paid through bank account, so I will credit the bank account. So how this 1205 is made up of, this is like the sum of this 366 million plus 839 million. Okay, so these are the two amounts, factory building plus plant and machinery, they are making this 1205, which is recorded in the construction in progress account. So as we ignored the element of time, we are recording all these transactions into construction in progress and we are crediting the bank. Once it is completed, only then it will be capitalized as a fixed asset. कंस्ट्रक्शन इन प्रोग्रेस का अकाउंट हम उस वक्त इस्तेमाल करते हैं जब हमारे पास मल्टीपल ट्रांजैक्शंस जो हैं वो हो रही होती हैं। जैसे कि अभी हमने देखा कि हमने फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्ट करनी थी, तो ये एक दिन का तो काम है नहीं। उसमें हमने पहले अप्रूवल्स लिए, फिर उसके बाद हमने उसकी आर्किटेक्चर का काम करवाया, फिर उसके बाद इंजीनियरिंग डिज़ाइन, फिर उसके बाद कंस्ट्रक्शन मटेरियल, लेबर, एंड इट टुक सम टाइम। ओके, तो मैं इस एग्जांपल में टाइम एलिमेंट को मैंने इग्नोर करा था सिंप्लीफाई करने के लिए। तो जो उसकी अकाउंटिंग होती है वो होती है इस तरह से है कि जैसे जैसे ट्रांजैक्शंस अकर होती रहती हैं उसको हम कंस्ट्रक्शन इन प्रोग्रेस के अकाउंट में डेबिट करते रहते हैं, और उसके रिलेटेड या तो अकाउंट्स पेबल या बैंक, जो भी जिस तरह से भी हम उसको एक्वायर करते हैं वो हम क्रेडिट कर देते हैं। ठीक है, तो ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम ये कंस्ट्रक्शन इन प्रोग्रेस का अकाउंट जो है ये बिल्डअप होता रहता है, इसमें बैलेंस जो है ना डेबिट होके एक ह्यूज बैलेंस बन जाता है। ठीक है, फिर उसके बाद जब ये पूरी एक्टिविटी कंप्लीट हो जाती है, और जैसे कि आपने देखा कि यहाँ पे टेस्ट रन प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट हो गई। टेस्ट रन, पहले आपका टेस्ट रन हुआ, फिर उसके बाद टेस्ट रन प्रोडक्शन भी हो गई, और फिर आप सेटिस्फाई हो गए कि ये अब प्लांट कंप्लीट हो गया, ये फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग और मशीनरी जो भी इंस्टॉलेशन होनी थी ये सब कंप्लीट हो गई, एंड इट इज़ रेडी फॉर प्रोडक्शन, लाइव प्रोडक्शन, एंड इट इज़ रेडी फॉर द कैपिटलाइजेशन। तो फिर हम क्या करते हैं, उस वक्त हम एक एंट्री करते हैं, इस कंस्ट्रक्शन इन प्रोग्रेस अकाउंट को हम क्रेडिट करते हैं, और जो रिस्पेक्टिव फिक्स एसेट्स के अकाउंट्स हैं, यानी कि फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग और प्लांट एंड मशीनरी जैसे हमारी एग्जांपल में, उनको हम डेबिट कर देते हैं। तो जिस डेट पे हम ये एंट्री करते हैं उस डेट पे हम ये कहते हैं कि आज ये कैपिटलाइज हो गए, उस डेट पे ये कैपिटलाइज हो गए। सो इन आवर एग्जांपल we keep building all the transactions and all the activity in construction in progress account, and we were crediting bank, and only then when it is completed and successful test run is there, and the plant and factory building is ready to become live, and it's ready to do a live production, only then we'll pass this entry, we'll credit the construction in progress account, and we will debit the respective fixed assets account, in our case which is factory building and plant and machinery. So here you can see from the description, to capitalize factory building and plant and machinery as fixed assets upon completion. So this entry is done uh, at the time of completion, or we can say at the time of capitalization. So once this entry is done, the capitalization is done in the books of accounts. Okay, so this is how the accounting will be done. I just ignored the element of timing, in this whole example, just to keep it simple, so that the concept will be clear that all this construction activity initially will be recorded in the construction in progress account, and only once it is completed and asset is ready to be used for its intended use, only then it will be capitalized and the construction in progress account will be credited and the respective fixed assets account will be debited. So this is how the accounting will be done whenever we are constructing an item of property, plant and equipment or fixed assets. So I hope the process is clear now for constructing the asset, and accounting is clear. In the next videos, we will be starting a topic related to this, which is called depreciation, and it is a very important topic associated with this fixed assets. If you have any questions, you can comment on the video, and if you have not subscribed the channel, kindly subscribe it. I'm concluding this video. Thank you.